Good afternoon, everyone, especially to our professor, Attorney Selwyn Prada. I am Jenny V. Langres, and together with my co-reporter, Ma'am Kim Maravillas, we will discuss Module 1 titled Introducing to the Philippine Legal System and Education. So, Introduction to Philippine Legal System and Education, and this is the overview of Philippine legal system. Number one is dual influence, civil law and common law. But before that, the Philippines legal system is unique hybrid that blends elements of the civil law from Spain and common law from United States. This mix has resulted from countries' colonial history and its adaptation to modern legal principle. So number one again, the dual influence are civil law and the common law. So I will discuss first the civil law. The civil law tradition inherited from Spain during 200-year rule is evident in the country's codified laws such as the Civil Code, Revised Penal Code, and others statutory laws. This means that legal principles and decisions are largely written in codes, and courts follow the codified laws strictly. Common law, when the United States colonized the Philippines during 1898 to 1946, it introduced the common law system where courts heavily rely on judicial precedents or previous court decision. The practice of stare decisis, adhering to precedents ensures consistency and legal ruling. So, the adverse the adversarial system in Philippines courts where lawyers argue their cases before a judge, and procedural laws such as rules in evidence and trial procedure are also adapted from the US legal system. So number two, this is the hierarchical structures of legal system. So, so the 1987 Philippine Constitution is the supreme law of the land. No law, policy, or action can go against it. So this is the hierarchy of courts in the Philippines. So this is the Supreme Court. Ang under niya, so ang head din sa Supreme Court, ang Chief Justice. So ang under sa Supreme Court, the Court of Appeals, Sandigang Bayan, and Court of Tax Appeals. So, Supreme Court, the highest court which makes final rulings on legal matters, it also has the power of judicial review, meaning it can declare laws unconstitutional. And the Court of Appeals here reviews decisions of lower courts to ensure the legal correctness. The regional trial courts handle serious civil and criminal cases. And ang lower niya, so these are the lower of regional trial courts. We have here, it handles less serious cases and preliminary matters. So, including here the metropolitan trial courts, municipal trial courts in cities, municipal trial courts, okay. And then here also is the Sherry District Courts. Okay. So, let's go back here the Sandigang Bayan. Okay. Sandigang Bayan is a special court in the Philippines that has jurisdiction over cases involving corruption, graft, and other offenses. It was established under Presidential Decree number 1606 in 1978. And also naman this one is Court of Tax Appeals is a special court in Philippines that handle cases related to tax and customs disputes. It was established under Republic Act number 1125 and 1954 and later expanded by Republic Act number 9282 and 2004. And Shera District Courts naman are special courts in the Philippines that handle cases involving Muslim personal and family laws. 3. Sources of law in the Philippines. Okay, so the Philippine legal system operates based on multiple sources of law, including here the statutes, laws enacted by the Congress. So, example include the Civil Code, Revised Penal Code, and the Labor Code. Next, the judicial precedents. So this is a case law. Past rulings by the Supreme Court serve as guiding principles for the futures area. So next is administrative rules and regulations. Government agencies create rules to implement laws. Example here, tax rules by the Bureau of International Revenue. Next, the customary laws. Customary laws, this is traditions and indigenous laws, particularly among indigenous communities, are recognized in some cases. So next, number 4, Islamic law for Muslim Filipinos. Okay, the Code of Muslim Personal Laws, Presidential Decree number 1083 applies to Muslim Filipinos, allowing the implementation of Sharia law in matters of marriage, divorce, inheritance, and family relations. Sharia courts operate under the judicial system to resolve such issues. However, in criminals, commercial, and other general legal matters, Muslims are still subject to Philippine national laws. The Philippine legal system is complex due to its historical influences and multi-layered structure. While statutes provide the foundation, judicial decision, administrative rules, and even customary laws shape its application. The recognition of Islamic law for Muslim Filipinos further reflects the legal system's pluralism. This is the number 2 part of my report. So, the historical context, educational, and the Philippines. Philippines, we will go back here first. Okay. The Philippines education system has evolved significantly from pre-colonial times to the modern era. Okay. Shaped by various influences, including Spanish, Americans, and local educational reforms. So the next slide, so this is the first slide, is detailed explanation of each historical period and its impact to education. So number 1 here is the pre-colonial period, okay, before 1521. So informal and community-based learning. So before the arrival okay, of colonizers. Indigenous Filipinos had no formal schools. Instead, education was conducted with the family and the community. So this is the example of they are conducted with the sa ilang mga silingan ba within the family and community. Then oral traditions. Knowledge was passed down through storytelling, chants, and epics, ensuring cultural and historical preservation. Survival skills, education focus on practical skills such as hunting, farming, fishing, weaving, and both making. So, ito, baybayin script, some native Filipinos were literate in the ancient baybayin writing system. So, ito yung mga first writing nila. So, hindi natin talaga ito maintindihan. To Spanish period during 1521 to 1898. Okay. So, by the way, let's go back to my first slide. So, ancient writing, okay, the ancient writing, ilang mga writing before Spanish colonization. So, since nga taga Zamboanga City ko, so kabalo ko mag-Spanish like don dito anda, saan ka pupunta, bien bonita gato, ang ganda-ganda mo. So yun ang mga Spanish. So marunong talaga ako mag-Spanish because I've been working in Zamboanga City for almost 3 years, but hindi ako nagsasalita lagi ng Spanish kasi pinagtatawanan nila ako dahil sa hard ng pronunciation ko. Kasi sabi nila, eh, kaklaro ni mo Bisaya, uy. Ingana sila magbuli sa Zamboanga City. Katawan ka pag imong dila gahi kaayo mo Spanish. But I understand siya ba kano? So number 2, Spanish period. So, religious-based education. The Spanish Catholic missionaries controlled schools with a strong focus on Christianity, Spanish language, and religious values. Next, education of elites. Formal education was mainly for Spanish mestizos and the Principalia, so the wealthy class. So while indigenous Filipinos had a limited access. So the educational decree of 1863, this law created a public school system requiring Spanish primary schools in towns. However, education remained limited and elitist. Higher education, the universities such as Universidad de Santo Tomas, 16 and 1611, and Ateneo de Manila, 1859, were established to educate young men in theology, philosophy, and humanities. So as what I've observed sa mga ancestors or sa mga lolo ng kaluluhan, kahit grade 3 lang ang kanilang natapos, grabe sila mag-English. Grabe, Jud. Lupigan pa ang mga bagong graduates but not all the student nowadays kay naa mga low learners karon nga pertejong di jud kabalo mag-English bisan naa na sa high school or nasa mga grade 6 di sad kabalo mag-English. So number 3, American period in 1898 to 1946. So, secular education, unlike the Spanish system, the Americans introduced a non-religious, secular, and democratic education system. English as the medium of instruction. The American replaced Spanish with English in schools, training Filipinos in reading, writing, and arithmetic. Siguro kung hindi nawala yung Spanish na language sa Pilipinas, siguro lahat tayo marunong mag-Spanish like sa Zamboanga City. At sa ibang ibang dako ng Pilipinas, meron ding mga Spanish ang kanilang language. So, Thomasites 1901, American teachers known as Thomasites were sent to train teachers and establish a strong public school system. So, Tumasite sent to train Filipino teachers and establish a strong. So, nagpadala sila ng mga Filipino teacher. Nagpadala sila ng mga teachers, American teachers. Isang barko talaga siya. Nakita ko sa isang video. Isang barko talaga ang bumiyahe galing America going to Philippines. At lahat na sakay doon ay mga Tumasites teachers, okay, American teachers na gitrain nila ang mga Filipino teachers before. So next, universal primary education. Public schools were expanded, making basic education accessible to all social classes. Next, higher education development institutions like University of Philippines in 1908 were founded to provide advanced education and research opportunities. Commonwealth period and 1935 to 1946. Nationalism and education. The Commonwealth government informed the curriculum to promote Filipino identity, culture, and history. Next, expansion of higher education. Colleges and universities grew to provide education in law, medicine, engineering, and other professional fields. And vocational education. Schools introduced training in agriculture, trades, and home economics to develop practical skills. Number five, post-independence period in the 1946. So this is the present now. Ayan. So, education expansion. After independence, the government more schools developed teacher training programs and expanded secondary and tertiary education. Technical vocational education programs such as TESDA. Okay, so this is Technical Education and Skill Development Authority were established to provide alternative career paths. This is bilingual education in 1974. The government implements a bilingual policy using both Filipino and English as a special languages of instruction. Uh, while alternative learning system, the ALS. So, pag pag pagpasado sa ALS, right, if I'm not mistaken, diretso na siya sa college. Tama ba? So, alternative learning system ALS, introduced by out of the school youth and adults, allowing education through non-traditional means. Kasi may college classmate ako before. So hindi niya natapos yung high school. Pumasa siya sa ALS, diretso sa first year college. And then K to 12 program in 2013%, the K to 12 reform added 2 years to basic education senior high school, aligning the Philippine system with international standards. Okay, I state here, yes, if you pass the ALS accreditation and equivalency exam for senior high school or grade 12, you can proceed directly to college. Just like regular high school graduates, you will receive a diploma equivalent to a senior high graduate from the formal education system with qualifies you for the college admission. So, ito yung nangyari sa kaklase ko sa college. So, next. Conclusion is the Philippine education system has evolved from informal and community-based learning in pre-colonial times for structured, globally competitive model. Today, and Spanish American and post independence reforms have contributed to the development of education, making it more inclusive, accessible, and modern. So, these are the references about my topic. So, you can research this one. So, the references for a Philippine legal system, the the references also for Philippine education system. And this is my question and case problems for my discussion. So Philippine legal system, the question is, how does the dual influence of civil law and common law impact the Philippines judiciary decision making process? So the answer is, civil law ensures that judges follow codified statutes, while common law allows them to use precedents, making the legal system flexible yet structured. This is my case study. A law passed by the Congress contradicts a Supreme Court ruling based on judicial precedent. The question is, which holds more authority? The answer is, the 1987 Constitution is the supreme law. So if the Supreme Court finds the law unconstitutionally, it can be strike it down. Number three, and the problem is, a non-Muslim Filipino wants to involve Sharia law for an inheritance case. Can this be allowed? The answer is no. The Code of Muslim Personal Laws applies only to Muslim Filipinos, and non-Muslims must follow national laws. So, the question and case problems for my discussion and historical content of Philippine education. The first question is, what major change did the educational decree of 1863 introduce the Spanish era education system? And the answer is, it established a limited public school system, but education was still restricted mainly to the elites. And the case study, during the American period, a student refuses to be taught in English, insisting on using Spanish. The question is, how should the school respond? And the answer, English was the official of medium of instruction under the American rule, so schools and had to enforce its use in education. And the problem of the discussion, a rural community has no access to traditional schools. What modern solution can be applied based on post-independence education reforms? And the answer is, the alternative learning system ALS provides non-traditional education for those unable to attend formal schools. Thank you so much. I have finished my topic, and my partner, Ma'am Kim Maravellas, will now continue the discussion. Go ahead, Ma'am Kim.